Hi everybody and welcome back on Little with Annie. This is the third session of literary criticism in which we are going to talk about the literary criticism of Horace. Beginning with the Roman criticism. Horace. He was a Roman poet and satirist, and he is well known for his contributions to the world of literature, particularly his works on literary criticism. And just like Plato and Aristotle, Horace also wrote a very important work which is important for us to read because most of his literary criticism is there in that work, and that is Ars Poetica. It's translated as the art of poetry. It's a treatise basically, and it is written as a letter. It was written as a letter to a family, Piso family, instructing them how to write a poetry in a nice manner, in a good manner. So it's his most influential work. It's not very big, of course, because it was written as a letter. It's in a verse form. It offers guidance and insight into the art of writing poetry. Ars Poetica. Let's see what is it that Horace says in this work. सबसे पहले, it is important to note that it is written in hexameter as an epistle or a letter. To whom was it written? It was written to Lucius Calpurnius Piso and his two sons. Epistle to Piso family भी बोलते हैं. So there are few points that Horace points out. सबसे पहले, unity and consistency. He says that unity should be there. He emphasizes that it's very important to maintain unity and consistency in a work, in a poem. He advises poets to avoid mixing different styles or genres within a single work. कि एक ही वर्क में कॉमेडी और ट्रेजेडी मिक्स कर दिया, आजकल तो अब है ही. It's tragic comedy is there, romantic tragedy is there. But Horace did not like it, and he says that you should avoid mixing different styles or genres within one single work, as this can disrupt the harmony of the poem. Then he talks about poetic license. He acknowledges that poets have some creative freedom, which is called as poetic license. क्या होता है poetic license? कि poets को कुछ freedom है. आप ठीक है कुछ invent कर दो, कुछ नए words, या कुछ थोड़ा बहुत unrealistic चीज़ें डाल दो, supernatural चीज़ें डाल दो, है ना. बहुत सारी creative freedom होती है. Poets do have some creative freedom, but he says you should take care that सब कुछ मॉडरेशन में हो, कुछ भी एक्सेस ना हो जाए. सो एक्सेसिव एग्जैजरेशन और अनरियलिस्टिक एलिमेंट्स इन पोइट्री शुड बी अवॉइडेड. ही आर्ग्यूज दैट अ सर्टन डिग्री ऑफ बिलीवेबिलिटी शुड बी मेंटेन्ड. ऐसा नहीं हो कि बिल्कुल ही आप सोचो यार ये क्या ही चल रहा है, ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता. थोड़ा बहुत बिलीवेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए वर्क में. देन ही टॉक्स अबाउट द पर्पस ऑफ पोइट्री. He discusses the purpose of poetry, suggesting that it should either instruct or delight. Very important. Poetry या तो instruction के लिए हो या delight के लिए हो. ठीक है, entertainment के लिए भी हो सकती है. This idea later became known as, this is one of the concepts, utile et dulce, which means either to instruct or delight, or it became this principle which advocates that poetry should both educate and entertain. Entertain के साथ साथ educate भी करे. Then he talks about the use of figures of speech. So Horace discusses the use of various figures of speech in poetry like metaphor and similes, and he suggests that these should be used sparingly and not overused to the point of becoming cliched. सब कुछ Horace जो है वो कहते हैं मॉडरेशन में होना चाहिए. यू यूज मेटाफर्स, यू यूज सिमिलीज ऑल्सो, बट इतना ज़्यादा भी नहीं कि भाई क्लीशे ही हो जाए वो. देन ही टॉक्स अबाउट इमिटेटिंग द एंशियंट्स. कि क्या आपको इमिटेट करना चाहिए एंशियंट राइटर्स को. सो Horace advocates for studying and imitating the works of great ancient poets like Homer and Virgil. करना चाहिए. आप पढ़ो, होमर को पढ़ो, वर्जिल को पढ़ो, और ये ग्रेट एंशियंट पोएट्स हैं, इनको आप पढ़ के इमिटेट भी करो. ही बिलीव्स दैट बाय एम्यूलेटिंग देयर स्टाइल एंड टेक्निक्स poets can improve their own craft, and that's true. characterization and consistency. So he recommends that characters in poems should be consistent and act in accordance to their established traits. मतलब अगर एक कैरेक्टर है जो लेट्स से हीरो है तो वो उसमें हीरो वाले ट्रेट्स होने चाहिए और उसको वैसे ही एक्ट करना चाहिए. कोई दूसरा कैरेक्टर है जो कि एक रोल प्ले कर रहा है विलन का, तो उसके अंदर वो दिखाई देना चाहिए कैरेक्टर्स. कैरेक्टर्स शुड बी consistent with their traits, with their roles. He stresses the importance of character development and realism in storytelling. Clarity and simplicity. He believed कि बिल्कुल क्लियर होनी चाहिए वर्क. आप एक्सट्रीम ग्रैंड स्टाइल, एक्सट्रीमली इलेबोरेट टर्म्स यूज़ करके उसको कॉम्प्लिकेट ना करो. He encourages poets to strive for clarity and simplicity in their writing. He believes that overly complex or obscure language can alienate readers. कि readers जो हैं वो नहीं पढ़ेंगे, छोड़ देंगे अब क्योंकि बहुत complex हो जाएगा उनके लिए. Critique of contemporary poetry. तो इन्होंने उस टाइम की जो पोइट्री थी उसको भी क्रिटिसाइज किया है. He has often pointed out some flaws and inconsistencies that he observed in that time in the contemporary works. The role of poetry. This is also important. Although we already talked about it, he emphasized that the role of poetry should be the dual purpose, instruct or delight, utile or dulce. The idea known as utile et dulce underscores the educational and entertaining aspect of poetry. Avoiding common pitfalls. He warns against common errors in poetry. कहते कुछ errors होते हैं जो बड़े common होते हैं और कर जाते हैं poets. वो आपने avoid करना है. जैसे कि verbosity. बहुत ज़्यादा words use करने. एक simple सी चीज़ बोलनी है, उसके लिए भयंकर बड़े बड़े words लेके आके उसमें sentence में डाल देने. Please avoid that, he says. Excessive imitation. ठीक है, you are imitating, but excessive imitation should not be there. He encourages poets to be aware of these pitfalls and strive for excellence. So what are the terms and concepts by Horace? Utile et dulce, the most important one, right? Instruct and delight. Verisimilitude, जहाँ पे हमने बात की, where he talks about believability. He says poetry should not be overly supernatural or overly आप poetic license use करो but believability होनी चाहिए. So verisimilitude is, it means near to truth, सच्चाई के करीब होनी चाहिए. Decorum का बहुत important concept है. It is often referred to as decorum in rhetoric and style. What is it? क्या मतलब है इसका? Appropriateness या फिर suitability in the context of poetry and rhetoric. It refers to the idea that style, language, content of a literary work should be appropriate and fitting to its subject matter. मतलब let's say अगर एक आप कोई मूवी देख रहे हो, उसमें एक कैरेक्टर शो किया है जो कि लेट्स से जो कि एक बहुत ही विलेज सेटिंग से आती है या आता है, जिसने कोई पढ़ाई नहीं की है, कुछ फॉर्मल एजुकेशन नहीं रिसीव की है ना, एंड इट इज़ शोन दैट दैट कैरेक्टर इज़ नॉट अ लिटरेट कैरेक्टर. अब वो कैरेक्टर महान बातें करना शुरू कर दे तो वो फिट नहीं बैठेगा ना. वॉट यू आर showing and what she or he is speaking with the language, it will not be fit. So that will not be counted as decorum. So he says जो context है, जो style है, जो language है, जो content है वर्क का, वो सब आपस में तालमेल खाना चाहिए. It should be appropriate and fitting for its subject matter, audience and purpose. और इन्होंने purple prose एक term है. It's not introduced, okay, by Horace, but Horace जो है वो उसको criticize करते हैं. So what is purple prose? Again, over grand style of writing. बहुत ज़्यादा flowery language use करके बहुत सुंदर बना देना जो समझ ही ना आए लोगों को. So Horace criticizes the use of overly ornate and extravagant language, which is akin to what we now call purple prose, in his literary criticism. Apart from these things, he has also talked about in medias res, मतलब बिगनिंग जो है वो बीच से शुरू होना, एंड so these are the concepts of Horace. Not very difficult, very easy. Just read it once through a book also, and इतना ही mostly इतना ही मिलेगा. Then yes, genres के बारे में maybe you'll find a little bit more which you can read. So please continue with your extra reading, which is very, very important. I'll see you in the next session where we'll do Longinus. Please, if you like the videos, hit the like button, share it with others. Also, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. I'll see you.